Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brittany. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the channel. I hope that you will like what you see and stick around for more. In today's video, I am going to be doing a pattern review on one of my recent makes, which is the Sicily Slip Dress. So let's get started. Before I get started, let me give you a little backstory and the inspiration behind me making this dress. I shared it on my blog already, as well as over on Instagram, so I'm sure you've already heard the story. But if you don't follow me over there, which you should, but if you don't follow me over there or visit the blog, I was inspired to make this dress. I attended Nora's Danta Ford and Mimi G's Ford wedding, and it was a beautiful wedding. And one of the guests that attended, her name is Ada. You can follow her on Instagram at All Things Ada. She wore this slip dress, leopard print, and it was just like effortless, chic. I loved it. And since then, I have been on the hunt for a slip dress that looked like that. And I have, you all know, you've seen my pattern stash. So I had a couple dresses in there, but they weren't quite, a good replica of the one that I fell in love with that she was wearing. Until last week, or maybe the week before last, I was on Instagram and I started to see this slip dress. It was a new pattern released by Sewing Masin, and I loved it. I immediately bought it because it was just like the dress that I fell in love with that Ada wore to Nora's and Mimi's wedding. So I bought the pattern, went ahead and printed it off at home, taped it up, cut it out, went through my fabric stash. You all remember this fabric from my recent fabric haul. It's from fabric.com. It is a Telio print. I believe it is silky satin. Right now, I think it is sold out, but if you're interested in it, definitely make sure that you sign up for your email to get the alert when they restock it, because it says that they will be restocking this print. I love this print. Like, can we just have a moment? I love this print so much. But I went through my fabric stash, got this fabric, and here we are. I love this dress so much. So now let's get into the details of it. So again, this is my Sicily Slip Dress. The pattern is by Sewing Masin. This is a bias cut dress. It has two views on the pattern. The first view, view A, is this view right here with these thin kind of spaghetti straps right here. View B has more of a wide strap. So if you are more full or busted and you want more support, that's a great option for you if you want to check out this pattern. The detail that sold me on this dress was this drape front, the cowl neckline. I love that. I was missing this detail in other slip dress patterns, and this is what I really wanted. So I fell in love with this dress. Like I said before, this is a bias cut dress. So on our fabrics, we have the straight grain that runs parallel, the grain line runs parallel to the selvage of our fabrics. Then we have the crosswise grain that one runs perpendicular to the selvage, and then you have your bias, right? And that right there is on a 45-degree angle on our fabric. So this fabric is cut using that bias grain line. This pattern has 4 pattern pieces, or at least view A does. I didn't check for view B, but view A has 4 pattern pieces. You have the front, the back facing, and then you have the straps, and all those pattern pieces are cut on single layer. That way you can have them cut on the bias. This dress sews up really easy. I was able to tape my pattern together and cut that out on one day, and then on the next day I came back and I cut out the fabric, and then I sewed the dress up in one day. So it's a really easy sew. I think the only thing that would be kind of tricky would be the fabric, because sometimes when you're working with silks or satins or just silky prints and charmeuses and chiffons, they can get a little slippery, a little tricky, a little hard to handle while you are sewing them. So that may be the only thing that I would caution you about, is just make sure that you pick a fabric that you are confident with, that you can control while you're sewing. But other than that, this dress comes together really, really easy. As far as sizing goes, you all know that I am one that wants to know the finished garments of my bust, waist, and my hips, because I need to merge between all these sizes to make sure that they fit my body measurements. So it was not a finished garment measurements for the bust, and it was not one for the hips, only for the waist. So based off of the waist measurement, I cut the G, and then I graded over to the I for the hips. But after I stitched down the side seams, I tried it on, and I actually took out some fabric from from around the hips. The bust and the waist fit great. The hips were just a little bit too big. I ended up taking probably about an inch in on both sides, and after I did that, it fit great. So the next time I make this, because there will be a next time, I'm just gonna make the straight G. I'm not gonna make any adjustments for my hips. So here's the front of the dress right here, and I just love it. You can see the way it drapes and hangs. It just flows, you know, it's so feminine and sassy and just effortless, chic. I just love it. Here's the back of the dress, and I really do love that it was drafted with good coverage around the back so you can wear a strapless bra and feel comfortable in it. Again, if you do have a full bust, you can probably check out view B and see if you like that one better. But I really did like view A. I felt confident in it. I just felt great. And let me tell you, y'all hyped me up on Instagram. I was cracking up at y'all comments, but I really do appreciate the love that you all showed. I felt amazing in the dress, and y'all just made me feel even more great in it. So thank y'all so much for all your likes and your comments and your shares. I really do appreciate y'all's support. So let's take a quick look at the inside of the garment, and you can see a little bit more of the construction. So this is the back of the dress, and this is the back facing. You can see right here, the instructions tell you to finish off the raw edge and then just fold that under and stitch it down. You see a little bit of understitching right here. The only thing I did not do was tack down the facing along the sides to keep that in place, but I can always go back and do that. And then the straps right here, I did not make any adjustments to the length of my strap. I just lined up the raw edges up here at the facing and on the front where the instructions tell you to, and I stitched it in place, and I love how they fit. They're not too low, they're not too high up, so I didn't make any adjustments to the length of my strap. Here's a side view of the dress. You can see that the seam is finished with a French seam. So with the French seam, instead of sewing your pattern pieces right sides facing, you sew them wrong sides facing first. And then you stitch down a portion of the seam allowance. You trim a little bit of that off, and then you fold the fabric so that it's right sides facing, and then you stitch to encase that raw edge. So that is the type of seam that is recommended in the pattern, and that is what I did for my dress. Here's a look at the front of the dress and the front facing. Now this facing is attached to the front pattern piece. So it's like an all-in-one. All you're doing is just kind of folding it over, as opposed to the back facing where you actually have to stitch that on because that's a separate pattern piece. So this right here is an all-in-one. Your front pattern piece has the facing on it. And so this is what it looks like. I'm just here for the drape. I just love it. For those of you that are interested in making this dress, the total time for me to make it, including cutting out the pattern pieces and stitching it, was about 3 to 4 hours. And then you have to remember, when you are cutting things out, garments out on the bias, you need to let them hang for at least 24 hours. So after I made the garment, I just hung it up on my mannequin. I let it just hang there overnight. And then I came back the next day, I checked out my hem, and some of it did drop. It didn't drop drastically. It wasn't like a full 2-inch drop, but I could definitely tell that the hem was no longer even. So I just pinned around the bottom of the hem and just trimmed it to even it off. So definitely make sure, if you're going to make anything that is cut on the bias, that you let it hang, just so you can let the fabric drop and settle in, because if you hem anything on the bias right after you make it without letting it drop and settle, then you're going to have an uneven hem. So again, definitely make sure that you give it time to do that, at least 24 hours. So that is all for my review. I have been asked to do a sew along, and I probably will, because I have a lot of silky crepes and satin fabrics that have just been sitting around, basically waiting for this pattern to be made. So now that I have it, I'm going to be whipping up a lot of more of these dresses. I love it. Hubs love it. Y'all love it. We making more of these. So thank you all so much for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you do not miss the next video, and I will see you all then. Blessings, everyone. Bye.